Well, hi, very good afternoon to you. My name is Elliott Danker, and I'm from the Breakfast Huddle on Money FM 89.3. Welcome to our Money Matters lunchtime webinar. Thanks a lot for joining us if you're tuning in via Facebook Live or YouTube or via our website. The idea behind these lunchtime webinars is that we're going to navigate the money map in that sense. We're going to talk to industry leaders. We've got a series of interviews lined up, and we're going to try and help you chart out key milestones in your personal finance journey right here on Money FM 89.3. Today's topic is the thought process of preparing a business for the future. But first, we did promise prizes when we sold this event on air. So today we're giving away two sets of lifestyle bundles from the Bold Company. It's worth $220 each. Just want to run you through the prizes that we're giving out, and you're going to love it. The first one is a Quiver Bag. It's black in color. If you can see the screen, it's a little bit of a tight squeeze, but this is great. This is like a all-in-one purpose gym bag. It's more than a gym bag, and what I really like about it is the insides. They've got these little pouches that are waterproof, and that's so useful, especially if you're going to the gym, right? It even comes with this strap. That's included, so that's convenient as well. Another thing that we are giving out in this bundle is a Nook Pouch. And what exactly does it look like? It looks like this. This is fantastic because this is airtight. You can store your clothes in it. It's got a Velcro as well, and it's a very stylish and easy to carry around piece as well. So the whole bag doesn't have to smell. We also have a towel that we're giving out. And although you probably can't really tell the material on screen, but I have to say it's really good material and it's able to absorb liquid sweat as well. But my personal favorite that we're giving out in this bundle is this Anchor t-shirt. It's the one that I'm wearing right now. So I'm wearing the white t-shirt. I'm a size M, or I'm a size L actually. I'm quite a big. I've got broad chest. Anyway, the beautiful thing about this t-shirt, I gotta tell you, it's so comfortable, right? I'm wearing with a blazer, so you can't tell it's a workout t-shirt, but it's also sweat resistant. It's also sort of liquid resistant. So yeah, I could pour water on it right now and just slide right off. And there's nothing worse than you're in the gym, you're working out, or post-workout, you put on your t-shirt and the sweat is just sticking to you. Gosh, all that goes away with this t-shirt. If you want to get a better look at these items, you could simply head to thebowl.co. All the items are there. I'll just run you through the list again. We're giving out a Quiver Bag. It's worth $97. A towel worth $22. A Nook Pouch worth $27. And the Anchor t-shirt that's available in 2 colors and 7 sizes, that's worth about $75. Wow. So go check it out at thebowl.co. And if you can, while you're at it, go head over to moneyfm893.sg and have a listen to an interview I had with the founder of the Bold Company. Her name is Mandy Chan, and find out a little bit about her entrepreneurial journey as well. Now, how to win this prize? Simple. All you have to do is ask the best question. Yeah, we're giving out 2, so we're looking for 2 of the best questions with our guest this afternoon. And our guest this afternoon, if we can get on to him, is Alex Chua. Alex Chua is the Chief Executive Officer of Goldbell Financial Services. Alex, good afternoon. How you doing?
Afternoon.
We're gonna have a great time talking about this because you have had such a colorful journey, and if you've got questions, just feel free to leave those questions in the comments box, and we'll try and get through it as we go along. But Alex, let's start off with a bit about your past. Now you are the CEO of Goldbell Financial Services, and this is a subsidiary of Goldbell Group. It's Singapore's market leader in commercial vehicle distribution and leasing. This is a family business, but your previous life was in the finance sector. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so right after graduation, I started my work in Hong Kong in JP
Okay.
Morgan, and I was there for good almost 8 years. It was a very fun time. For the first 3 years, I never saw the sunlight. Sometimes on weekends, I get to see the sunlight, but I made very good friends. I still keep in contact with my bosses. They are my mentors still, and till today. So it was a good time. I learned a lot of lessons from there.
Yeah, for sure, and it's such high octane, high energy, right? Hong Kong, and we did some checking. I understand you worked in Puerto Rico before that.
Oh, yes, yes. So,
How do you
uh,
go from Puerto Rico to Hong Kong?
so the funny thing is, my what I studied has nothing to do with finance actually.
Oh,
I'm an
okay,
industrial engineer, so
okay,
I'm a process control specialist. That's my what I'm good at, or what I studied for. I might not be good at it.
mm,
So in the final year of graduation, I was offered a 1 year internship in J&J.
okay,
But I had to postpone my graduation for a semester. But since, I mean, young, right? Quite fun. It was actually in New Jersey. So I actually took it, and I spent 1 year working for J&J, which was also very, very fun. But
yeah,
during that time, I worked in this company, this subsidiary of J&J called Ethicon. They made sutures. So sutures are those things, you go for a cut and then they sew you up. They
oh,
made
okay, okay,
sutures. And okay, don't let me get into how complicated sutures are. They are very complicated. But the point was that during that time, they were running a project where they were optimizing the SKUs and moving a plant from Scotland to Puerto Rico. So I guess they liked me. So they actually sent me there. And I spent quite a bit of time in Puerto Rico. And it was actually really, really fun working in Puerto Rico uh, for 2 weeks at a time before going back to New Jersey and then going back there again. Yeah.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because we have a lot of entrepreneurs or younger folk who decide early on that they want to go overseas and experience life there and experience working there. There's obviously cultural challenges, even language barriers sometimes. How did you conquer all of that?
Okay, the good thing is that most people speak English or understand
Yep.
English a bit. So that is a big barrier already that you can usually overcome because it's easy to speak. But it's actually the mindset. So
Okay.
you first have to figure out that number one, you lose your entire support system, right? Because in Singapore,
Yes.
you have a family, you have everyone to help you. You don't even most likely don't wash your clothes. Food mysteriously appears on your desk. So if you're okay with that and you're okay with adventure and always understanding that the outcome might not be what you wish for, it's great, right? You go overseas and you just experience what you hope you can achieve.
So, in that sense, because the language was kind of sorted out, the working culture was that difficult because there's a lot of criticism, or not criticism. There's a lot of shared thoughts that in Singapore is all about productivity. You just keep working. If you work until midnight, means you're very productive. Is that different in a country like, say, Puerto Rico? I know it's similar in Hong Kong for sure.
Actually, okay, I would say that it's industry based.
Okay.
Okay, first
Okay.
culture. Okay, so
Okay.
I've worked in Australia, I worked in Puerto Rico, and let's say that I would say that the Western concept of
Mm.
there is more of understanding of work-life balance,
All right.
where
Right.
after a certain you put in all for that period of time, and
Mm.
then after that you're off work and you're off the clock, and then no one bugs you. There's a form of respect for that.
Okay.
But it also depends on industry, right? In a finance industry where I worked in, it's not about respect or not. It is just the way it is that
Right.
you are on call 24/7. I mean, okay, so the good thing about JP Morgan, it is in Charterhouse, which is 5 minutes away from Lang Kwai Fong. So
Mm.
sometimes pre-COVID days, you can work till 12 and then you go to Lang Kwai Fong for a drink with your colleagues or friends, right?
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised, right? Clients call you at 2.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that you can walk back.
Back to the office.
Whether or not you're mentally stable to put in the trade is a separate issue, but at least you can go back to work and get the work done, right? So, but that was, again, depends on your outlook.
Yeah.
For me, it's okay. It's fun. Everything is fun, right? It's how you actually take it on your stride. If you take it on
Okay.
stride, everything is okay.
Okay.
In Puerto Rico, weekends we also spend with colleagues, but they bring you to eat. They bring you to different places to
Yeah.
Take photographs whatsoever. But it's a different lifestyle, right? It's slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. I understand you. Refuse is refuse a strong word? Refuse to join the family business, but you came back 10 years later. Would it be right to call it a refusal, or you just
No
needed
lah,
to spread
not
your
refuse
wings?
lah. You can't
Can't
refuse.
say no.
At least I can't refuse my dad lah. My dad
Mm,
say go, I go. How high, jump
okay.
how high. So my dad has always been very flexible and open to what I work for. And my explanation was quite simple, right? I mean,
Mm.
I think it's better that I convince myself that I want to come back rather than I'm forced, and I'm always thinking what it is to work for someone else, what is the world out there.
Okay.
So he allowed me to choose whatever path I wanted. And my path was actually, I just wanted to work in a company that was not the family's, where I could actually prove that I could actually survive, right? I mean, I might have failed and be a complete failure and not work through the ranks, but it so happened that finance was the one that gave me a job. In fact, the funny thing was, I put how I got the job was I put my resume in every single website I could think of, and after 2 years, I got an email from my hiring manager asking me if I was interested in a job in equity derivatives in Hong Kong in JP Morgan. Okay, so first, JP Morgan. Okay, wait. I had to search. JP Morgan is in finance. Equity derivatives. I went to Borders. I bought a book. No, literally, I bought the book on equity
While there were
derivatives.
still borders. While there were
There were still Borders. At that time, there were still Borders. And incidentally, the first Border store was from my school, Michigan, Ann Arbor. The first Border store, and it was still there. So I bought the book. I read through it over the weekend, and I started interviewing. The interviews, in the end, 13 rounds of interview over 3 months. And then we got the job.
Is this a very and I'm not sure if I'm right to point it down to demographics, but is this a very late Gen X, super early millennial type of thing where we're able to just we'll research a bit and then we go for it because I don't know, we feel that we are from a generation that's more flexible in that sense?
Actually, okay, to be fair, JP Morgan or my hiring manager or my division didn't expect me to know anything about derivatives. That was my own problem. I felt that if you're going to interview me, you're going to ask me something about the job, right? So I went to study. But actually, they didn't expect me to understand anything. And so, again, right, for me, I don't think it's a Gen X or Gen Y thing. I think it's a mindset thing. Sure. I believe that actually everything can be learned. It's whether you want to learn or not. Okay, some things I learn slower, like playing tennis. But my point is everything can be learned, right? It's how much work you put in and how determined you are to actually to want to get it done. And so that was that. You'd be surprised, on my floor when we started, there is not a single person that has a finance degree.
Okay.
Everyone is a mathematician, chemist, engineer, astroscientist. No finance. They didn't need that skill set.
Right. I like this point that you bring up. It's really a mindset thing and how much you're willing to learn. Because when you came back and you joined GoBell, you were relegated to the marketing department, start from scratch. What was that experience like?
No, not really start from scratch. I tell you why.
Almost.
Because marketing couldn't cause damage.
Yeah.
Whatever. So marketing at that point, so marketing now to us is actually quite important because we evolve, right? But back then, marketing was actually more events planning. How bad can you screw up to plan an event, right? The most customers get upset with you, right? So they put me there. The free
drinks will settle everything.
Yes. So they put me there just to figure out, more or less for me to figure out and for them to figure out where to put me, right? Can you imagine they make me run a sales department? I can actually blow it up. So maybe my dad was being cautious. So he put me there. People babysit me. And then for me to figure out what I could do in the company.
But you've done a great job. I mean, you founded GoBell Financial Services to finance and empower the visions of SMEs through innovative capability enhancing financing solutions. We're talking about funding more than 1 billion Sing dollars cumulatively as of the 31st of March this year across different sectors. I mean, tell us a little bit about how you've managed to evolve GBFS over the past 5-6 years.
Okay, so let me explain how GBFS was created, right? It's not as glorious as it seems. The story is, so Gobel Group, old brand name, market leader in commercial vehicles. So we sell trucks, right? That's if you see our trucks, Mitsubishi is our brand. You see our trucks running all around Singapore. So one day during a board meeting, someone asked a very, very interesting question. They said, hey, all these trucks you sell, who finance for you? So of course we said, oh, we pass it to the banks to finance. So the director went to ask, why you don't finance yourself since you know the customer for so long? I mean, that was back then. We had really been running the business for over 30 years, right? So my dad was like, okay, Alex, you can try. That was what we were meant to do. But so the logic was always, okay, we have the customer set, we have the product, we can start financing the truck, right? So when we started financing the truck, the other idea was this, right? Oh, we have all these customers. I'm sure they need financing, right? So if you have financial services, you can also tap on them and help them out. Because for Gobel, when we evolve, right, we always actually pivot based on our skill set and what we know of the customers and what customers ask for. So we do small steps and we move, right? So that's how we actually evolved. But from doing, maybe I'm restless, right? We started from doing trucks, and then we realized if I can do trucks, I can do car. So we started doing car. Then we started doing machines. Then we started doing all financial services, factoring, mortgages. So now we are one of the, I think, the only privately held FI on the ESG's PFI list, which is the one that gives the temporary bridging loan. So my point is that we evolve according to what customer needs, right? And that's how we actually evolved our business.
But when we talk about evolution, there is also a sense of forecast that needs to be involved. And we are still going through, and people like to say it's the tail end of the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, what has been going through your mind? What keeps you up at night for the past 20 months, the past 2 years, especially in light of this pandemic? How do you predict the future?
Oh, wow.
Let's start simple. For the past 2 years, what's kept you up at night? And don't say a crying baby.
Actually, a lot.
Actually,
you can see my baby photos.
Yeah, that's why I guess.
So, okay. So, first, right, there is this. I guess when you start a business or any business, COVID or no COVID, you need to figure out what are the underlying issues in your business, in the general industry, that people need to solve. Because I believe that every business is the same. You might be the same, but you need to have a USP. Otherwise, you will just be any business, right? So for me, the biggest problem, at least in financing, was the scalability of deal flows. Example, how do you acquire deal flows on a scalable basis instead of just the traditional RM, brokers? RM is relationship managers and brokers, and then you hire more RMs, hire more agents, and then you go right. To me, that's not really scalable because it involves adding more and more humans onto the process. And then your machine, right? How you process all these things, it's physical, it's human, and then the source of funds from banks, no alternative lenders. It's, again, 1.0 of financial services. So to me, that was the underlying problem. Then, so the things that keep me up at night every day is actually solving these three pillar problems, right? How do you solve these three things to make yourself different? Then you throw in COVID, right?
Yeah.
And with every pandemic, I would say, I mean, this is the saying, right? With every pandemic or any catastrophe, there's always the opportunity to do something different, right? And actually, that was how we even got on board the ESG's PFI list. We have been trying for some time, but it was tough because they wanted to see that you know how to lend, you have a track record. But 5 years is not really a track record for them. They want 10 years or more, right? Which takes time, right? But what we did at that time, again, we didn't do that for this. But back then, we launched, this was at the start of COVID, which means that before COVID actually really hit Singapore, but the government really started to put in measures already. before the lockdown, we, together with a few family friends and SBF, we set up this thing called the Hope Fund. So the Hope Fund is very, very simple, right? The logic is the Hope Fund is a band-aid. Because whatever the Singapore government is great. They will do whatever it needs to bring the business back on track. However, it takes time. It always takes time. But during this time, you need to stem the bleeding and you need to get them to the next stage. And this SBF Hope Fund was about giving SMEs, eligible SMEs, $50,000.
Okay.
And you pay me back in 1 year. That's it.
Okay.
And we essentially, in 5 minutes, I called 5 or 6 family friends. This includes your a lot of family officers, and they gave me we put together $5 million, and my team put the whole process in place. And the funny thing was this, right? I planned this and forgot to tell my team, and I was in Malaysia for a conference, and then this got leaked on SBF on news. So my team called me and WhatsApp. I was in the conference. Alexa, you are doing this. I said, oh, yeah. How? Then they looked at me. We'll sort it out.
Okay.
And you must understand that it's not
quite
so
a level
easy.
of trust there.
No, my team is amazing, right? And they don't need me. They can sort everything out themselves, right? So you must understand the entire process flow, the entire structure needed to be COVID-proof, which means digital. People cannot visit you to sign documents. You cannot meet people. Even at the time, Zoom was not very popular, right? But they put it together for me within 1 week. Everyone came in to help.
Wow.
Even if not related. So they put it together. 1 week I came back, was ready to go.
Wow.
So we dispersed all the money, and I can say that we just finished the 1 year anniversary. The default, 0. There was even a company that came back and literally said, here, take the money back. We found more money. Please take the money back and help other people.
This is beyond just filling in a gap. This is building a relationship. I mean, there's a level of trust within your companies, within these businesses.
Yeah, a lot of these borrowers end up being our current borrowers because borrowing money from someone actually requires trust. You need to know that, number one, they'll be by your side and grow with you and then provide you what you need, right?
Yeah.
So giving this first olive branch of 50,000 was the trust, which we didn't actually figure out. But we realized actually that through talking to them, we realized that, hey, actually your business, you need all these kind of things which you can support. And that's how we get more customers. And from that, I think ESG realized that by the way, we got the money out in 2 days. No? For everyone that applied, in 2 days, money in bank. That was our promise. Yes. So the process needed to be really fast and digital, right? No humans as much as possible. So I think for ESG's point of view, they realized that there was a different way to lend. And our default ratios were very nice. So they asked us if we would like. I said, sure, but we will not do what the banks do. We will do smaller ticket sizes for SMEs that usually cannot get money from the larger institutions. And that's how we started this whole relationship with this ESG.
It's a very and I like it. It's in where I work. You're always reminded you got to know your audience, and in this scenario, you know your audience, you know how urgent this money is. So in 2 days to turn around and put that cash in the bank, it says a lot, and that builds a lot of trust. Alex, I want to take the opportunity to give out one of these prizes, one of these lifestyle bundles from the Bowl Company worth $220. I know you yourself are eyeing one. I'm going to give it out to our first winner, Chris. Chris, your question is, COVID-19 has wreaked havoc on large and small businesses. Consumer preferences have also changed as a result of the pandemic. What are some tips for businesses to be successful in their pivot for a sustainable path to profitability? This is a big buzzword that's always going around. Sustainability. Another word, pivoting. People are asking now, is it too late to pivot? We're almost at the tail end of this pandemic. Are we at the tail end of this pandemic? What are your thoughts on these two words, pivoting and sustainability?
Pivoting to me is a necessary thing in every company. Pivoting is no different from evolution. By the way, pivot, you can pivot 1 degree, right? It's still a pivot. So for me, it's actually moving the business in a direction that moves with the times.
Okay.
So I mean, simple things like, my hobby is F&B. So I have 2 restaurants, and I always joke, right? We have never ever opened where there wasn't any restriction. So we opened in March this year. So that perfect timing,
Everything's
right?
heightened, heightened
No,
this, heightened
you
that.
think in your mind, right? Okay, lockdown, cannot lock down again. Okay, now is the right time. Let's go. 1 week later,
1 week later.
lockdown. So it's so okay. So I use that example, right? Because that is I think one of the hardest hit industries, F&B.
Yeah.
So you really need to pivot, right? Again, when you talk about pivot, I don't mean closing down the restaurant and moving down into a cloud kitchen and just changing your whole business, or changing the restaurant into a mama shop. I mean, that's not pivoting. I mean, to me,
It's
that
not
is
changing business model, right?
Yeah. I mean, I move small steps. So for us, when we looked at this, okay, I need revenue to grow. I need revenue to stay alive. It's not about making money. It's about staying alive. Okay. How do you make money? How do we make revenue? Okay, revenue. Then we need to figure out what are people doing in the industry. So it's about delivery, right? So the good thing about me is that I somehow have very, very useful friends that advise me on the best things. So one of my best domain knowledge people for this was a company called Odo, which is food delivery, right? So
I think
we have been working with Odo for a long time, but I work with them because the founder is quite funny. So I love to talk to him about business ideas and things like that. We always talk about business ideas. So I asked him, I said, what do I need to do? So he really advised me on, number one, okay, delivery, what you need to do with delivery. And then he said something very, very funny. He said that, everyone that pays money to get the best spots on Amoy or Keong Siak does it for the traffic, so that you get traffic and you get seen and you pay for the rent, right? But you think online you don't have to pay for rental? You need to pay. But how you pay for it is through marketing spend. But how you do marketing spend, they helped us. They really helped us. Okay. And you could see, so there are weekends where our food delivery GMV is the same as our dine-in that includes alcohol. Okay. Which is amazing because no one delivers alcohol. Alcohol, you go 7-Eleven and buy. You don't buy from a restaurant because it's expensive, right? So it's about doing that. But to get there, you need to learn also about the things that are important. Number one, your dishes need to change. Not everything can be delivered. Yeah. Things get soggy, right? So the menu had to be changed. The portions had to be changed. The way we presented the menu to the customer needed to be changed. So I was educated, like crash course. He gave me a half an hour crash course on how to do it properly, and we implemented it immediately. No questions asked, because I have a domain expert that's advising me what to do. So for me, it's always about building this group of friends that I know who to ask if I have a problem in one. Yeah.
That's something that a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business people, the more successful ones will always say this, but a lot of people trying to start, they tend to miss out on this point. You've got to surround yourself with like-minded people, but you also got to surround yourself with people who have a system that works. It's not about modifying the system. That's just your ego. If it works, use it. How do you come across a lot of people who sort of don't see this point of mixing with the right group, mixing with people who can push you?
I wouldn't say, okay, for me, right, actually, people I hang out with are people that I actually like. No, serious. Sitting through a 2-hour dinner, regardless of how intoxicated you are, can get really, really boring when there is nothing that you can talk to the person, right? Yeah, okay, the good thing about me is that I get interested in any topic as long as it is remotely interesting. Even if you ask me about wafer manufacturing, if you can explain to me the process, I'll be quite enthusiastic to learn, right? So actually for me, it is the mindset, right? Now, number one, you need to always be willing to learn what you don't know and find joy in everything that you do and you learn. Okay, that's the first thing. Number two, about finding people that push you, I think the good thing is finding people that can add value to you in some form or the other. And I mean add value in many ways, spiritually, knowledge-wise, financially, I mean, whatever, right? That every person, I believe, has a quote-unquote purpose.
Yeah.
And the purpose can even be company, like good company, right?
Okay.
So I have, and I try to plan such that 2 times a week I will have a meal or 2 meals with people like that where I learn from them. And you'll be surprised, though, it doesn't have to be a topic. You just need to grab onto that 1% that will change everything. And it can be talking for hours and hours or days and days and many times, but you just need that 1% that will change.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There are a lot of questions coming in just generically about, future-proofing businesses. And again, I want to circle back to the words sustainability and get your thoughts on this. How applicable is that to your business? I mean, talking about vehicles, the whole push for more electric vehicles as well.
So to be more sustainable, there are business, number one, you need to survive first, right? Which means that your top and bottom line needs to be safe. It needs to progress well. So to be future-proof and sustainable, first you need to know what the future is. And to know what the future is, you need to talk to people and know or be at least advised on what do you think. No one knows the future for sure, but you need to at least have a glimpse of where it's going to go, right? So I always say, right, there are 3 parts, right? You know what you know what you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. The third part is the hardest, right? And that is where really having a group of people around you reading proper articles or distributions that can actually get you to understand a glimpse of the future. And then you move your business or enable your business to be able to adapt to that should the need come.
Okay.
So even on the GoBell side, right, we recently bought Blue SG.
Yep.
But a lot of people don't know that this, by the way, that deal was actually put together by my brother and my father.
Okay.
Yeah, it's their brains at work, right? And you'll be surprised, no? My father actually was the one that asked my brother, do you think this Blue SG thing would be interesting?
Okay.
I mean, my father is 67. For someone to be able to... So my father might not get the sense of the true importance of it, but
you know who to ask.
So he asked my brother, who understands everything, right? So my brother said, actually, yeah. And then they... By the way, it took 2 years. 2 years.
Wow.
So everyone sees the final part, right? Done. But they don't see the hard work of 2 years of finding the partner, putting it in, making sure infrastructure can support. And then future-proofing and infrastructure, that's the part, right? We need to see what we have that can this thing be bolted on. The good thing about us is that we have the domain expert of car rental. A lot of people don't know, but we actually have quite a decent-sized car rental business. We have 1,300 cars on rent. So,
would you consider going for putting Tesla up for rent?
No, you can rent anything. In fact, I just funded a company that is going to rent handphones. No, I mean, it's about you see. So you go back to this handphones. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't get it because maybe I'm old. Maybe half my team won't get it because they are older than me. But when I talked to the founder who's younger than me and he explained to me, then it clicked, right? Your frame of mind right now might not be sufficient to understand the frame of mind of someone younger. And right, the whole world is moving towards non-ownership. It's actually part of sustainability if you think about it, right? I don't own anything.
I sort of recycling, we share everything type of thing, right?
Right. So it's actually an evolution of consumer behavior that you need to understand. So the company came to me, explained to me, we looked at the business model. We figured out that they required debt to actually scale because they needed debt to buy handphones, right?
Yeah.
And so we said, okay, we invest in you. This is the debt facility, and this is how you grow. So that's the part of the business that I talk about. That's about scalability. Because for me, right now, I have a partner like him.
Mm.
Him scaling makes my business do well, because that means I can lend
Right.
more money to him.
Mm.
So it comes back down to understanding what's out there and finding the partners to move with you.
Right.
So back to sustainability, right? The world has changed a lot where you can own everything, you can do everything yourself. You don't need anyone, your own world. Now it's all about finding the right partners.
Mm.
So for us, at least for the GoBell Group, we are all about finding good partners and partners that can fairly grow with us.
We had a conversation this morning on air, and it talked about how well, a question was raised, a talking point was raised that perhaps it might be better to rent a house instead of buy a house, because then, since people are always moving, you have kids, you go to you want your kid to study at a particular school, so you move around, and maybe that is a better lifestyle for you. um just on the back of that, and what you've mentioned, how what do you think is crucial when you're trying to convince people of a trend worth paying attention to, a trend worth picking up, to ensure that you're doing it for the right reason? In the case of sustainability, you want to make sure there's no greenwashing involved. What are your thoughts on this?
I think you can't, if a person doesn't want to be convinced, you can't convince the person.
Okay.
Right? But what you can do is lay out the facts
Okay.
and let the person decide. By the end of the day, it depends, right? If it's your own business, you need convincing. If it's someone else's business, he needs to believe in it. Because if someone just does it because you tell him to and he's not convinced, it will not work well. Because a lot of decisions are very long term, right? And there will always be dips. And the last thing you want is your partner questioning you all the time. Are you sure you made the right decision? So usually when it comes to us, the family needs to be in unison of our direction, and then we move together.
Okay.
Rather than, I believe in it, my brother doesn't believe in it, my dad thinks I'm crazy, and I do it. Doesn't usually work well
That
that way.
sounds like my family. So what you're saying? No, I'm kidding. What you're saying? First, you have to be aware of the business setup, and in your case, it's a family business. Therefore, the buy-in comes first before your own personal passion. In that sense, your
Yeah.
passion for whatever you're proposing.
Yeah. That definitely.
Yeah. What would your advice be to young entrepreneurs who are looking at entering, into a business in this current climate? What would your advice be in terms of paying attention to, I don't know, potential future financial practices or business trends? Keep your eye on crypto, for example. What are your thoughts?
For me, I believe in finding the use case.
Okay.
So a lot of I would say that some startups that I see nowadays, they emphasize a lot on the tech, but there is no real use case, and they build the tech and then find the use case. So for me, that is a little bit of a walk around. But tech gets your valuation, right?
It's sexy, right? You add tech
Right?
to the bank.
But for me, use case and domain is the most important in execution.
Okay.
So if you can find a real use case where you can find a good customer base or people that are willing to use it and pay for it, use it and don't pay for it is a different, or users, but you can get something else that you can monetize, then go for it. But if you can't find a way to monetize something concrete way of monetizing, not dreaming of monetizing, then I think it's a little bit a long drawn battle to keep finding that way to monetize, right? Yeah.
So use case first. I like that. That's a pretty good point. Keep your questions coming in. We've got about 15 minutes or so left. Some personal ones coming in, Alex. And we'll get to them as we go along. I was supposed to set it up. Discovered something very interesting about you. You practice jujitsu, so you're a martial artist. How much, and I have my own opinion about this, martial arts and sports, and how that affects you in life as a leader. If you are not a sports person, you can see the difference. How big a role does that play in all your approaches, coming back to Singapore, joining the family business, starting, this particular sector of the family business, and where you're at right now dealing with COVID? How important is it?
So, okay, every martial art is different, I would figure, and jiu-jitsu is quite specific because not many people know what jiu-jitsu actually is. But I guess one of the things that I really learned is that in jiu-jitsu, you walk into the mats and you fight, and you only have your gi and your belt.
Yeah.
You cannot wear a watch. You cannot wear fancy attire. Okay, your gi can be fancy. My gi quite fancy. But
you're one of those, huh?
So, but with that, right, there is no way to know anything about your opponent. You think about this. So you need to go in a competition and you need to figure out his game or make him play your game. So the worst thing is to assume how he is based on how he looks.
Okay.
So to me, that is a very, very important thing in business, right? Don't underestimate or don't try to perceive someone. Don't read a book by its cover. So I give you a story, right? So I was in Las Vegas for World Championships. This was 3 years ago before COVID. And semi-final. I was up against this guy and I was just watching him walking. And this guy, okay, big, thick spectacles, haversack, and just walking around like this. So I was thinking, okay lah, I think I can maybe win. Touch hands. First thing he did, double under, take me down. Oh. And he held me there for 5 minutes.
Oh.
And then after that, I was kicking myself. I said, come on, one more match to the finals already. You come all the way to Las Vegas, you want to win, right? And then after that, I started talking to him. Then I realized, collegiate wrestler. So it doesn't look like a collegiate wrestler. If you look at your Netflix shows, right, your collegiate wrestlers are bulky people.
Yeah, they're bulky.
They look cool, tattoos, right? This guy looks like a bookworm. Yeah. So if I had known, I didn't think that of him. And if I had known and played my game, I would have put guard, sit down. And then he wouldn't be able to take me down. He wouldn't get 2 points and hold me down. At least I have a chance, right? But because of my mistake, cost me the whole trip.
Yeah, it's sadly a little bit of impatience, and it does happen. It does happen.
Yeah.
And on the back of that, I want to give out another prize for one of these Bold Company lifestyle bundles. That's what it's called. It's worth $220. This prize via one of our comments on our Facebook page. And it is from Dave. So, Dave, thanks very much for this. Alex, how should we future-proof our businesses and make sure they continue to be relevant and thrive in these times of uncertainty and changes? The way COVID hit, and we would liken that to that wrestler that you face, it's not like we had a whole lot of time to study it. How do you deal with that scenario in business?
Actually, it's okay. So I move back a bit about setting up the business. And okay, so the way we work is we believe that we need to be agile and move with times and keep changing. So my team, for the last 5 years since we started GBFS, my approach to them is just try. It's okay, just try. Fail, it's okay. Fail, it's okay, just try. So if you keep that mindset, right, actually your business is more or less future-proof, because you are allowed, your company is allowed, everyone there is not afraid to make mistakes. They're always willing to try. So if you keep trying, something will stick at the end of the day. Right? So that's one. Then number two is that, again, always have an open mind and always have a team that can support you to change. So it's not just buy-in, it's not just me and my dad and my brother, right? Actually, the more important buy-in, my team must think that I'm not crazy. So that is
the people working for you, right?
Yes. They must believe in the direction of the team. So I don't do this enough, but I believe sometimes I need to sit down and share where I want to go in 20 years. Because sometimes it runs in your mind, but no one knows, right? Only you know. And you think they know, but they don't know. So with that, and okay, then in terms of future proofing, I guess, um, I guess it is really surrounding yourself with the correct partners, correct infrastructure, and correct support, such that they will always be there to move with times.
Okay.
Some people don't want to change,
Mm,
so you cannot future proof, right? So the only way to future
mm,
proof is you're willing to change. Simple as
mm.
that.
Yeah, even the best sports athletes, like in football, your Cristiano Ronaldo, your Tom Brady in the NFL, they are still the greatest of all time because they're constantly changing, they're
Mhm.
constantly adapting, and I really like that sports mindset that comes along with it. Um, so let's talk a little bit about, and I know this is a common question, and the reason I'm asking this question is because I know your answer is different. The common question being, what's your highest point, what's your lowest point? But you don't believe in that, do you?
No, number one, I cannot think of my lowest point in my career, or because at least in my career or work, every single problem is a solution waiting to be found.
Mm,
And I always, okay, every time you get to your lowest point, you always think that that's your lowest point. And you think, I just want to get over this. I hope this doesn't happen. But if you look back far enough, you realize that you got through it and you actually found a solution to get over it, right?
okay.
So instead of looking at the lowest point, I look at opportunities to learn. So all these dips in your career are for you to learn, right? I mean, JP Morgan, truth be told, I made a lot of stupid mistakes. I made mistakes that could get me fired, really get me fired. But I had a boss that believed in me and that was there to shield my name from the CEO so that I don't get fired. Who is this stupid guy in Hong Kong losing money for me? But my boss was senior. She shielded. She put her name there to get hit, so I didn't get. Yeah. So I've bosses like that. That's why I love my job back then, right? So again, same thing with the way I look for in my life, right? As long as you have someone to support you and move with you, that includes your family, like my wife, whoever, you can always come back. So, but you must learn. You must learn from the lesson, right? What do you do wrongly? How do you improve business? Yeah. So that's how I look. Same for highs, right? There will always be, if you think that that was the high point of your life, you will never find
Something
a
else.
higher high.
Yeah.
I would
It's
rather believe that I can find more.
it's very in line with a lot of current day thinking, where you can never be in a company that you love. There'll always be something that you don't like, but you're more likely to find a boss that you love, a boss that you really enjoy working for. And if you can find that, you are in a very fruitful environment.
Boss, very important. Boss,
Very,
most important.
yeah.
Very, very important. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. We are speaking with Alex Chua, Chief Executive Officer for GoBell Financial Services. Just a couple of more questions before we wrap up. What are you looking at right now? What's your personal outlook where 2022 is concerned, with travel slowly starting to improve? What are you expecting?
I hope I can go on a holiday soon.
Where would you go, man?
Me, actually, I really want to bring my kids for a holiday, but that's a debate with my wife because my kids are too young to get vaccinated. So she just sent me a picture of Switzerland and how empty it is. And she said, okay, empty may be good. Maybe we can go there. But I need to travel a lot for my business. I haven't seen my Malaysian counterparts. I haven't been to, because we have businesses even in Cambodia, but I've not been there in the last 2.5 years. So I need to start traveling, but I need to find the safest way to travel to protect my family. It's not so much me. It's my kids at home, my wife, the older people at home. Yeah. So other than that, it's normal, right? People will get back to the new norm. This is your new norm.
Yeah.
So you need to figure out how to, and actually trust is very important. No? The reason why my Malaysian business and my Cambodian business is still standing and not being wrecked is because my partners and my GMs there are very, very good.
Yeah.
So I leave it to them, right? They call me when they need help, but they don't usually call.
I always have this, and this is quite personal. We even have a question coming in similar. I always have this thinking that if I have everything I have now and I was 10 years younger, I would be invincible. You ever think that you ever wish you knew something before you started a business?
No, because then you don't learn.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel that um, so back when I was working in a bank, or even now, right? The
Yeah.
way I quote unquote train people, or I uh, work with my guys, is that I will just tell you where I want to go, my endpoint. You figure out how you get to the endpoint. Even if I know the path, you go figure out. The reason is, in the process of figuring it out, they would have figured out 9 other things that are not feasible, but would mean they would figure out 9 other opportunities that might be feasible,
Okay.
or 9 other business ideas. But if I just told you to follow this path, you wouldn't you wouldn't you wouldn't figure it out. And that to me is I thought I like practicing a muscle. No, you keep doing
Yeah.
it, keep doing it. The next time you do it faster. You do it faster, and you will figure out that the next time you give him a problem set, he would have other scenarios. He would have in his mind other scenarios that he know won't work already. So
It's
to me,
like the
that's
10-year
very important.
series. Yeah.
Yeah. Try everything out. Really try
Okay.
everything out. Now, of course, this is if you have a lot of time. If you have no time, then you tell him the solution and you ask him to go. Yeah.
Do you ever? I mean, have you ever had to deal with staff who are not receptive of these ideas? They just
All
want
the
the
time.
answer.
All
How do
the
you
time.
deal with that?
I don't have this stuff.
Okay, that answers the question. But it's also in line with surrounding yourself with the right people, isn't it? Like even the staff that's working for you, would you say it's very important? I mean, what would it take? Say if I wanted to work for you,
Yeah.
what's the one criteria you're looking for in me if I was interviewing for you? If say, at some point I'm going to propose, I want to start another sector in Go Bell, etc., etc. What's that one quality you look for?
Oh, it's actually the person. It's really the person and his drive. His purpose, right? What's his purpose, right? If
Hmm.
your purpose is just about, I want to make the quick buck, I want to get paid a lot, great, but then your longevity with me is only so much money can buy.
Mm, mm,
But if it's something like I want to really build something, I want to see what I can learn and then add value and build, that's great. I mean, I just give you an example, right? One of my staff, he joined me from a very big securities house. The security guard.
okay.
And I hired him because I thought that he could learn and he'd be great. And now he runs my fintech division.
Hmm.
He had no domain knowledge in lending whatsoever, but he was willing to learn.
Yeah,
And he
that
was willing
scares
to
me.
try and try and try and
Yeah.
try. And he said something to me, right? He said something very funny, like 2 years into the job. He said, Alex, I told my wife that if I was in my old ex company, I've been fired already because I don't bring in revenue. But for me, my purpose for him was never to find revenue. Now, was to equip himself with the skills to find a good business for me for the future. And that's where our investment comes in, right? We spend about 30-40% of our net profit every year back into R&D, back into humans that don't reap profit now, might not be reaping profit in the next 5 years, but they have a purpose to future-proof my business because they are the ones who will build the next wave for my business. So you have your cash cow and you need your
Mm.
R&D.
Alex, we got about 2.5 minutes to try and tackle this one. It's just too interesting a question to ignore that's come in. So
Yeah.
this person is studying computer science engineering, and they're planning to drop out of college because they want to improve their own life goals, things like crypto trading, investment, digital marketing. I beg your pardon. Even trying to learn hacking as well. But there is the confusion. There's the conflict, right? Do I give up my studies to pursue these goals? And look, crypto trading, digital marketing, there is a future there. If you were in this scenario, I mean, what would your advice be on a very personal opinion note?
The first question is what's his purpose, right, in life,
Mm,
right?
mm,
And why do you need to give up your studies? Is it to concentrate more in this work? honestly, right? Honestly, yeah, there are a lot of things that people waste their time on that you can cut rather than cut your studies, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like for me, if I really wanted to and really concentrate, I would cut all my dinners, going out with friends. I would cut my jujitsu. Okay, jujitsu important to me, but push comes to shove,
No
I would
bluff.
cut. I did my priorities. Right? My priorities
Yeah.
are work and then my time I spend with my wife and my kids. That one I won't touch.
Okay.
So what do I cut? I cut everything else, right? So the question is, can you cut anything else? And why do you need to cut your study? I mean, by the way, again, people hate me for saying this, right? Again, I have to watch what I say. What you learn in school.
Oh, you can do it. I know. I can read your mind.
The topics you learn in school will not really be relevant to you for your future work. Most likely, 99%.
But the process,
the learning, the rigor, your friends, that is going to shape you. So you go to college or you go to university or you go to poly, you go to IT, whatever, everything is good. Not to learn a skill set per se, but to practice life skills, right? I mean, there are a lot of things you learn, right? That is not just your curriculum. Curriculum, it really, then schools will not exist. Then you do everything, go to Borders. Okay, there's no more Borders. You go to National Library to go and borrow textbooks and you read, right? Then everyone can be amazing at business, right? But that's not the case, right? And so again, then back to crypto trading, right? I mean, for me, I believe that for every opportunity that exists where there's an arbitrage, it will get squashed with time to come. Which means that if you're making a lot of money now for crypto trading, there will come a time where it will be the arbitrage will be gone. That's life. That's business, right? So if this goes, then what else? If you don't have the rigor that you should have learned going through school. But that being said, I'm not saying you have to go to school. I'm just giving you an alternative answer to your solution. Again, there are many dropouts that make it.
Yeah.
There are billionaires, right, that made it, right? But I believe that they had rigor in their mind already.
Yeah, you really got to question those. Alex, really appreciate your thoughts this afternoon. Someone sent in a cheeky question. Elliott versus Alex in martial arts, who will win? It'll be Jiu-Jitsu versus Wing Chun. And I've got the winner in my head. Alex and Elliott will actually be in the bar. So that's the answer. There's no fighting there. Alex Chua, Chief Executive Officer for Goldbell Financial Services. Alex, thank you for your time this afternoon. And if you've enjoyed the session, be sure to give it a like, share it with your friends as well. And join us for our second session, Money Matters, Investing and the Millennial Effect. It'll be hosted by Michelle Martin from Your Money. She'll be speaking to Tim Phillips, Head of Content and Investment Lead at Prospectus, CGS-CIMB Securities. They'll be talking about the latest trends, strategies, US and China stock favorites, market plays rising in the eyes of millennial investors. More details at moneyfm893.sg. There are prizes to be won as well if you need new bed sheets. Ooh, 2 premium sheet sets from Heaven Lux. I might want to participate for that one. Again, the details at moneyfm893.sg. Money Matters, Investing and the Millennial Effect. It's next Thursday, 25th of November at 7 p.m. Be sure to join us for that session. Alex, thank you again for your time. My name's Elliott Danker. I certainly wish you a great day ahead and a great weekend in advance.
Thank you. Bye-bye.